Lubbock health inspectors were busy this week. They checked out the cleanliness of dozens of local kitchens, making sure where you dine out is safe for you and your family.
KCBD News Channel 11's Christy Harden tells us what they found in this week's Food for Thought. Christy.
Karen and Abner, we have a mixed menu of top and low performers tonight with a plethora of violations. That's where we start. Vallarta Taqueria and Restaurant at 5727 82nd had 16 violations. Here's a look at their priority violations. Chicharrones and a red liquid were not cooled properly. This can cause bacteria growth. The inspector notes multiple items were cooled in large bulk pans, which didn't allow the proper cooling temperature to be met. A plastic grocery bag was used to store food. A writing pen was on a cutting board. A can opener was dirty. An employee placed raw beef on the grill and then used the same gloved hand to handle a roll. A toxic item was not labeled. Plates were damaged. The inspector notes due to the number and the nature of the violations, a lack of managerial control was demonstrated. The report shows most violations were corrected at the time of the inspection. Hot and spicy Cajun seafood at 5004 Frankfort had 17 violations. Here's a look at their priority violations. A container of minced garlic was above the safe cold temperature of 41 degrees. Raw crab was stored above ready-to-eat sausage. The dishwasher was not sanitizing. Sponges were stored above the 3-compartment sink. The shutoff valves for the backflow prevention device were not installed correctly. The facility does not have a certified food manager, and there were no food handler certificates available. The lid of the ice machine was broken. The report shows most violations were corrected at the time of the inspection. Golf Suites at 6909 Marshall Sharp Freeway had 34 violations. Here's a look at their priority violations. Multiple items in the kitchen were dirty, including milkshake cups, citrus squeezers, the ice bin that holds beverages, and the soda gun nozzles. The drainage line from a soda gun holder was backed up with wastewater, and the soda gun was leaking. The faucet at a hand sink was leaking. There was no soap at a hand sink. There was food debris on clean dishes. Dirty pans were stored in food warmers. Several items were not in good repair, including cutting boards, plastic containers, and dough pans. Paint was peeling on a citrus squeezer. The sanitizer in the dishwasher was not strong enough. Waste lines from the soda machine were inside the floor drain. The vacuum breaker on the mop sink faucet was missing. Gaskets were torn on the reach-in cooler. The inspector notes, due to the number and the nature of the violations, management did not show proper food safety knowledge. The report shows most violations were corrected while the inspector was there. Now to the good news. Here's a look at this week's top performers. Benavides Smokehouse, Chicken Run at 1910 Quaker, Kai's Grinds, Potbelly Sandwich Shop at 6616 Milwaukee, and Pushin' Nutrition at 508 50th. For a look at those violations, just go to our website at kcbd.com and click on Food for Thought. Karen and Abner, back to you.
Thank you, Christy.